this week's Mayhem.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jay.
And we're here to talk about the chaos of being a nerd.
And we're going to start off this week by talking about what really is going on with the queue lines.
Do we really know what's going on?
No one actually knows what's going on.
So, in case you don't know, the other weekend, Comic-Con did their big open sale of tickets.
For open registration.
Yes. Prior to that, they did the pre-sales for returning people like Jay and her boyfriend, my brother. They got tickets for returning, and that was a smooth sailing process. They got in,
Super
everything
easy.
was fine. But the other weekend, we were trying to get tickets for other parts of our family, myself and one of my cousins, and the queue froze within the first, 5 seconds?
It wasn't even the queue to even get onto the website to get on. Because let's talk about this really quick. So to get into the big name conventions, we're talking WonderCon, New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, just to name some of the big three. So to get into those conventions, you have to have a registration page already created. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a portal created to be able to even get these tickets, because they're not just any willy-nilly website you have to go on. You actually have to be approved to get them. Mm-hmm. So going on there and going on to the actual official Comic-Con website and going to the open registration page, that's where it started to fail. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even just the initial boom with the queue. It was just to even get on the website.
Well, and it didn't matter what device you're on. We were on laptops, we were on iPads, we were on phones. None of them seemed to be better to use until it came to actually get it. So you waited an hour to get in the queue, and then you get into
the queue.
A queue to get in the queue, and then you get in the queue, and then you're waiting on their little bird thing, which used to be the Running Man, which I don't think that makes a difference. It just looks cooler.
I love the bird. Toucan to save the day. To be honest with you,
dancing.
He is.
But none of them are moving. The only one that seemed to be moving was on the computer, which was going fastest. Apparently, people though were getting in. They were ready to check out, and then it crashed again on them. And this isn't the first time that anyone's had this issue, but this Comic-Con's the main one we're talking about. We'll get into others as a supporting factor, but then people would get in, and then they weren't even sure if they got ticket confirmations. They weren't even sure if they actually got the tickets. They got in right away, or others who were about to get in. Immediately, the queue just paused.
And not to mention, Comic-Con official really has dropped the ball. We haven't gotten any information about when the queue is going to be coming live. Looking at different forums, we still have yet to find out any information. And it's kind of just really sad, to be honest with you, because this is a very large convention. It's not like something small, and it's very limited tickets. So we just want to know if we're going to have another possibility or chance to possibly get in more tickets.
Well, that's the problem with it, is because they technically didn't have pre-sales. They had just returning people, which makes sense. I totally understand that. That's
the VIP, the returning, and then they have the open.
But the hard thing with some queues is that you have pre-sales, and then they do such a high volume that people aren't ready for them, or that the companies aren't ready for them, which is kind of crazy to think that after all the years that they've been doing Comic-Con, that they're still surprised so many people want to go.
Yeah, and the fact that they can't make a platform that supports the amount of people is it's understandable, but at the same time, you should have backups beyond backups. Be prepared for this, because it was, like I said, a joke, and you still can't even go on and find out when the next ticket sales are.
Which is crazy, because there have been other times where there have been people have tried to make it a smoother process. But regardless if you like Taylor Swift or not, this is an example we're using. During the Taylor Swift concert tickets, it was like a war, but you got a pre-code. So you got to register for a pre-code, and if you had the pre-code, you got to do the pre-sales.
Oh, nice.
But the way that the problem with it is so many people got pre-codes that the pre-sale sold out all of the concerts. And then people, of course, were mass buying. The way they tried preventing against scalpers is you had to have the code. And the amount of chaos that consumed, because also, even with that, the site crashed. And so many people didn't get tickets, and then people are reselling the tickets for... I feel that was awful.
For astronomical prices.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Scalpers,
Yeah.
resellers, I mean... Do your thing. Do your job. I understand you got to make money somehow, but still understand that this is for people.
Yes. I get trying to make a profit or something. That's our entire economy. You want to try and make a profit. But to sell $300 tickets for $15,000?
$15,000 just for someone to go to a concert.
It's insane. And don't get me wrong. I went to the concert. It was once in a lifetime. Would I pay $15,000 for it? Absolutely not. I wouldn't even spend that. People spent that just to get horrible seats at the Super Bowl. It's insane, the price gouging that changes for that.
Just to support an event, just to support artists, to events, our nerdom, just to support our hobbies. It gets so expensive because we have to deal with these queues, these resellers, and it just makes it hard. I mean, the hunt is worth it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the hunt is the fun part of the whole game, but
the hunt isn't fun when you're in line for something and you see someone grabbing 16 things of what you're wanting.
Exactly, and not sharing it
with others. They're just getting it. They're not even getting it for themselves. They're just getting it for resale value. I did a Stitch release of like special collectibles.
We're doing one now. We're doing the Stitch Attack Snacks,
which is so much easier to get than the Stitch Crashes Disney one, where Stitch was taking over different Disney like movies.
Super cute, by the way.
They would sell out in less than a minute on the site, and it was like I lived close to Orlando, but it wasn't like I could just go down there and get it because it would be sold out before it even like opened, and it wasn't, and people would be grabbing just hordes of them, and now they're being resold for like $400 online for a $25 toy.
Well, speaking of this though, this actually just happened on Monday, actually. The Magic the Gathering online sales for their new set that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's the Marvel
release, which already has a huge following. Magic the Gathering actually has a lot bigger following than I ever knew. Yeah. I got put into that world, and I think it's very cool. I know how to play the game, but it's not one I thrive to go play.
Yeah, but those cards are
cards are beautiful. They do really good artwork. The Lord of the Rings one was insane, trying to find the ring with Post Malone buying the ring that rules them all.
Buy our cards.
But it's just crazy how much. But he did so well that he spent the money he had. He had the ability to buy it. The person who found it was willing to sell it to him. He went and sat down and played a game or two with the guy who he bought it from. Like, I think that's pretty reasonable. And the guy who got money he would never have made after having just the one card.
Just the experience to be able to play a game that you love with another nerd that also just happens to be kind of famous.
Who had cards made after himself. The Post Malone series is hysterical.
It is. But I mean, going into that same situation, though, Magic the Gathering, we were in line.
Yeah, we got in the queue.
There.
I had a friend who was in the queue about to check out, and then it pushed him out, and he got in within the first couple of minutes of it opening.
Didn't he actually get to the checkout portion,
He got to the checkout portion,
which
had
is
the sets he wanted.
Excitement.
Pushed him out and never got them. And now he went back on. He got put back in 4 hours later, and then got only half of what he wanted, and then he impulsively went on eBay and bought them resale value for like twice as much as what he would have bought for.
Which is so crappy. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, though? We really want to hear what you guys think about queues, especially being able to you're that close, you're hitting that checkout button, you're right there, you have your product, and you feel secure, and then it just goes away. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's even harder too, because most of them put a time limit on it too, so you're rushing anyways.
Oh, your heart's thumping.
You're rushing anyways in like your 10-15 minute window, and then they're like, just kidding, you're gonna get kicked out anyways, and you just popped out, and you're like, well, I guess this is my fate, and then you're like, you're more frustrated than you're happy about the product, and that's what makes it hard. Which is sad, because Comic-Con last year, when you guys went, it was a huge thing. You got to see all the announcements. You got to watch Deadpool, Wolverine with the whole cast.
Which was incredible.
Me, who was excited because I was seeing it before you guys in Eastern Coast time, and then y'all are over there, and you're like, oh, by the way, we got to watch it with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and I was like,
and then the whole cast came out. I mean,
I was like, the moment that I heard that, I was like, well, I would have ruined the entire movie for you guys.
Not just that, but we got to see
this
RDJ
this happens.
We got to see your man come on stage and announce his return to Marvel. I mean, come on.
Which is why this year is going to be why so many people are sought after getting the tickets for this year, is because they're assuming Fantastic Four is going to have something the same that Deadpool did last year, because it's the same weekend.
Could you imagine being able to see Fantastic Four with the cast?
If I can just like take Pedro Pascal's face and just be like, hello, I would be very happy.
I don't want to make a normal interaction with you. I just want to pet your face with
you're
my
nervous?
face.
You can hold my hand.
Hold my hand. It's clammy. It's slightly moisturized by my own sweat. What?
But this year we're assuming there's going to be huge announcements for Marvel, which makes it
huge
even
announcements.
So that's why you're just like, what are we like? When are we getting more announcements? And then of course you have a bunch of releases. Last year's big release for Funko was Elmo holding Rocco,
which we were able to secure. We were able to secure quite a bit of Funkos. But I mean, speaking of the Funkos, trying to get into the Funko line was absolutely like impossible unless you got a reservation.
You had to do a few like drug deals just to get your Baymax.
I did. And
are you the woman in the green headphones with the purple shirt on? Yes. What are you wearing? Khakis.
My name's Jake, and we're khakis. That's pretty much what happened. And, as soon as everybody gets to know me a little bit more and knows that I have social skills of
a toddler.
It's not a toddler. I don't willingly trust individuals. Baby. I just like to avoid everyone as much as possible.
Will stab you with a fork in public.
If you're walking in front of me too slow, especially at Disney.
It's like your own version. You just need to take a lightsaber everywhere around with you and just like, whoa.
You know,
not even turn it on, just use your own sound effects.
I do use my own sound effects with my lightsaber. You know, if people saw me at my own home, oh man, see me practicing my lightsaber skills. It's pretty impressive, I do have to say. My battle-ready sabers.
The best was with, which show was it that the girl was getting ready for? Was it,
Wasn't it Ahsoka?
No, it wasn't Ahsoka. It was the one after that, the one that just released. Oh my gosh, why am I blinking? Anyways, one of the girls was practicing in her hotel with her combat moves, set off the fire alarm and the sprinklers, and had to walk outside and couldn't explain to them because it was like, I think it was a year or two before they even like were announcing anything for the next series.
Of course.
And she was like, I can't tell you why I was fighting with a lightsaber in my room, but I promise you'll find out in like 2 years. Can you imagine? You're just like practicing for a role, and then you go and you just mess up something entirely, and you can't tell people what it was.
Could you imagine? I mean, I could never imagine.
Acolyte.
Acolyte, that's what it is. Acolyte.
I kept wanting
Thank
to
you.
say antidote.
Thank you. Yeah.
Antidote. But yeah, so that's, I can only imagine. But yeah, it's the whole Comic-Con thing. It's so cool. It's so exciting, and that's part of the releases that you want to know. And Marvel next year is having a huge year next year. I feel like Marvel has like 10 plus things coming out that they're
between the shows. I mean, they were so it's you know how Marvel is. You know how we are in the world right now is everything keeps getting canceled. Everything keeps getting ripped off the list. So we don't know what actually is going to be coming out just yet. But we do have some slightly confirmed. Mostly confirmed.
Let's go. Let's do like Thunder Round. You're doing Marvel shows and movies. We just finished Agatha. Fantastic.
Oh, Agatha. Amazing. Loved it. Loved set design. Loved the story.
So many people were against it. I think it ended up being fantastic. It has and I truly think that people are missing the point. It's not just about Agatha.
It's not.
It's the next stories that she connects to so many things. And
she
that's
has
like a huge
her hand in the pot of so much. And if people only knew.
Her cauldron, as you would
say. Her
cauldron.
She's brewing up a storm, some would say.
Oh God, they're gonna hate us.
Oh man.
But you just finished Agatha, then you're gonna have Thunderbolts, you're gonna have Captain America, you're gonna have Fantastic Four, Ironheart, What If, Daredevil, Spider-Verse. Technically it's not Marvel, but it's associated. You have Wonder Man, Marvel Zombies, Eyes of Wakanda,
and Kraven.
Yes, it was also a interesting contender.
Kraven is an interesting contender. I know it's not super a part of the MCU itself, however, because Sony still owns it, we are still excited because we are excited about Kraven being brought into life, and as he should. I mean, he's primitive. I mean, he's such a hunter that seeing Kraven in this world and seeing how the possibilities that he's going to bring into Spider-Man is incredible.
Well, and following in typical Sony fashion, we're just recasting another character.
I know. Unfortunately, the recycle of actors is real.
Although I do like him. I do think that I honestly think this is a better role for him than it was for Quicksilver. I think he has the ability to have that dark side to him based on the trailers he at least does.
He looks primal.
He looks fantastic.
He looks very good. But going back, we have Captain America coming out sooner rather than later. We're going to see the appearance of Red Hulk. We're going to see, what he's going to bring into this table. We're actually going to get a little bit more of the insight of the Celestial from...
You got it?
I know I got it.
Do you need me?
Yeah.
A few moments later.
Second, Eternals.
Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't get that, but I totally forgot. I think it's just because that movie was just not my favorite. I mean, I love the story of Eternals itself, but I just feel like that movie didn't do the Eternals justice.
Yeah. I like the casting. The casting didn't come up to par, though, because you had great actors who didn't quite... I feel like none of them truly understood the characters they were playing.
It's like they didn't do the research behind the actual
And I feel like
comic.
everyone else does.
Well, they definitely need to. I feel like that is so important for them to get into character is by reading what the character really is about.
I mean, even if you just do a quick, Wikipedia page, I feel like you'll get the
fandom,
concept.
Fandom that thing.
Yeah,
just
you'll
go.
get a concept of who you're playing, what you're supposed to do with it. That's
Exactly.
the biggest thing there.
Exactly. But that kind of brings it back to, to Captain America. And finally they're touching it.
Yeah.
They're going back on
Well,
what
I mean,
happened.
they
Why is
tried
this giant thing in the middle of the ocean?
Well, they tried in She-Hulk with the newspaper article.
Yeah, but that really wasn't doing anything. And once again, you have to zoom in
and find the Easter egg.
Exactly. And Marvel, we love our Easter eggs, but if you don't know, you're never gonna know.
No, especially when you're so focused on a show like that and you're not looking at the side parts of it, you're not going to quite, like, get it.
Yeah, of course.
Or you have to go back and read things and be like, oh, I totally even see that, even though you're watching. You're like, I missed that completely, which is usually me.
Of course, of course. Now, touching on another one that's kind of, not, I wouldn't say controversial, but in the Marvel, but just kind of wary about where they're going to go with the storyline. What do you think about Ironheart? What do you think about, like, what are they going to do? What do you think that's
She's a hard one. I get why they brought her in with Wakanda Forever. I get it. She was a key
She
role
played
in that.
really
She
well.
did, honestly, the girl's super sassy to play Ironheart. She was a very good casting.
The actress alone, she did a really good job.
Yeah, I feel like she's kind of lost because what they did with Kate Bishop was really good. They brought her in with the Hawkeye, with the whole storyline. Yelena, supporting character, love her.
Exactly.
It's kind of like I feel like the character,
she's going to have some good supportive characters.
That's going to be the hard thing because, like, that's what made her so stand out in Wakanda is because you had Shuri, you had the mom, you had all the characters that she needed. The queen. You had all the characters that you needed for her to be a character and somewhat relevant, but not take over the story.
Yeah.
Now she has to take over the story, and it's nice because you kind of have her backstory of like how they found her and why they found her because she has technology like Iron Man, but you're kind of missing.
She pretty much literally just takes her knowledge from Iron Man.
But you're missing the mentor aspect. You don't have him. Exactly. I do think it'd be an interesting twist if they bring her in with the whole Doom thing.
Ooh.
I think that would be
like she's in a different universe?
Pretty much, but the hard thing is she's already in the Wakanda.
Theory.
Yes, but she's already in the Wakanda, so it's kind of like, but I feel like he could come bring her and be like, hi.
Well, what if we...
Come be part of my rebellion.
Exactly. Brings her in because she's not getting what she really requires or what she's feeling that she needs.
So I feel like that could be a plot twist, but I don't know if Marvel essentially is going in that direction because Ironheart was done prior to us knowing about.
She was supposed to be a part of the Young Avengers.
She was prior to Doomsday. So unless they're going to change her storyline at all, or they could do it to where like they do her episode and at the end be like, will return in Doomsday. That would be something pretty cool.
That'd be really cool.
I feel like if they are going to use her in that aspect, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing is I don't think they're going to use her in that aspect. So it's just going to be like her show. If it comes out really good and takes over like how Agatha did, I'd be fine with it.
Oh yeah. But I hope it does well. Don't get me wrong.
I feel like since they're not going to go with the Young Avengers, she's kind of like lost. I think learning about her because her storyline's pretty cool with her brain and technology is a different version of Stark's. I think that's going to be interesting, but I feel like it's going to be lost in the new story.
Especially because now that they've announced, the Fantastic Four and the Captain America, the Thunderbolts, and really not knowing.
So ready for Thunderbolts.
I'm so ready for Thunderbolts too. We both know that that's not the Thunderbolts team.
Yes, but they're doing well of using who they have to possibly eliminate them for the next stage.
That's true.
Which is where Suicide Squad failed. I feel Suicide Squad's like, here's a bunch of villains. Okay, bye.
But that's where
Here's
DC
the second
and Marvel.
We'll do a spinoff.
That's where DC and Marvel really differed.
Yeah.
DC has great shows where that's Marvel kind of lacks. But given now that Marvel's really stepping up their game,
shows and movies,
yeah,
and
they're really stepping
keeping the
it up.
same characters. That is my biggest thing. DC's TV shows are amazing. They cast so well. The storylines are so good. And then they're like, but we're gonna do a movie of this instead and cast a whole different person.
Like they have 3 different Supermans right now.
Dry Lantern? Arrow. Why? They just can't. And then DC, I know everyone gets annoyed, like Agatha, everyone was super annoyed with the spinoff, but she was from a prior story, continued her story, went on with it.
Agatha's also extremely important.
Yes.
I know that she's a side character, but in the MCU, she's becoming extremely important with the power source.
I'm just hoping she babysits Franklin.
Oh my God,
That's
yes.
all I want.
Please. Well, Sue Storm's supposed to learn from her too.
Yeah.
So,
I just went I went Deadpool T-Rex. I don't care about anything else.
Deadpool T-Rex.
I just want tiny arms and destruction. But no, I do. That's where
Chaos.
It's hard with the controversy over DC and Marvel. DC has great story. I'm very much pro Marvel, but I like DC. Our dad loved DC. That's one of his favorite things. But I feel like it's so disappointing over and over again. It makes it hard to like support it. The comics, I hands down think that they have the cool artwork, the cool storylines, the cool segues that don't make it too
the
insane.
Dark universe.
Yeah.
DC has always been
Dark.
It's
Dun,
been
dun, dun.
more of the noir sense, where Marvel's been light, justice, airy. I mean, it's just the two different spectrums. I mean,
they literally have a person named Happy.
they do. They do. I mean, Daredevil's coming up soon.
That's like one of the dark stories we have, but he's still like a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Depends on the color mask he's wearing that day. I'm in my black version.
He does, but I mean,
and yellow.
Going back, I mean, you see in the trailers for Daredevil. I mean, we have Kingpin coming back. I mean, Kate Bishop did a number on Kingpin in the last.
Well, and it's funny because people compare villains between the two stories, and like I feel like even Marvel and DC's villains are so crazy. Like you have Joker from DC. He is psychotic. He is crazy. He doesn't give two shits. And then people are like, he's like Kingpin. I'm like, no, Kingpin's like a businessman. He will fuck you up, but he doesn't have...
He also has henchmen to do that as well.
Exactly.
No matter how strong Kingpin is actually himself. Yeah. Because he does have his own strength.
But like, there's still two very different entities, and that's the difference between like Marvel's version of a villain and DC's version of a villain. And it's just like, you don't get that...
You have the sadistic sinister.
Yeah.
And then you have the... I want power.
Yes, and I feel like that's where the two different areas of those comics, the entire DC and Marvel universe, that's where they've always had the competition, because you have the Justice League, you have the Avengers, you have the same and different comparisons in two different aspects, and just DC can't hold up their bargain, but they can in the shows.
Yes, the shows they can. Which, well, honestly, though, we have to be careful with that. I mean, given Penguin.
Yeah,
Penguin that's airing right now is phenomenal. Well, Colin Farrell is doing amazing.
His entire makeover for it is just alone. That should just be the movie.
So unexpected for how amazing his acting is. I mean, as with as much prosthetic as that man has on his face, he still has the emotion.
Well, and that's the crazy. You have the Titans, they're really good. You have I'm blanking. Oh, Lois and Superman. I love that, and it's just like.
You don't have things like Peacemaker, which for unfortunate reasons is super popular, but is so... I'm saying it. It's shitty. I can't... Oh, God. I love John Cena. I love it.
And I do. I think he's great.
I understand why people liked Peacemaker, but I just... Man, that Suicide Squad 2, what are you doing,
It's the
DC?
same thing that they did. I know, and that's where it's back to where everyone's like, oh, Thunderbolts isn't the truth. No, but we know these established villains. We know that we like them. You have Bucky Barnes. You have Yelena. I know Red Guardian's supposed to be a lot more aggressive and mean than
He's not supposed to be as funny and funny.
But that's what we have, and they're using him. And then we most likely will not have him after this. They're at least setting the stone and bringing in, hopefully, a huge character with Bob. But,
hopefully, because we all know who Bob is. Sentry!
But it's just, it's hard because you love these shows and then you go and watch the movie. Next year, we have the new DC Superman coming out. I liked Batman with Robert Pattinson, but we've had so many Batmans that it's just you have your favorites, so anyone who comes after that is hard to even accept.
Sparkle Boy as Batman is not my favorite.
No.
Bruce Wayne is extremely intelligent.
Yes.
And I feel like that he underplayed his intelligence so much.
But at least it's a different Batman than the same story we've been getting over again. That's the sad part.
I know. If we get another backstory from DC...
Well, good thing is we won't, because we have Batman 2, which will be that one. Hopefully that'll
Which will hopefully play into Penguin.
Yes.
And we should figure out what happens. And how it ties everything all together. I'm really hoping it does well.
Yes. And then you have your Superman, who we'll see how that goes.
Yes. I'm I'm upset that Henry Cavill is no longer part of DC, because Henry Cavill...
He's my favorite Superman.
Yes.
Minus looks or whatever, I do think he just did really well as it. I think he did really good as Superman.
Yes.
I think he took on the role. He took what he needed to do. He became Superman. Also helps he's a giant nerd, so he knows why he's Superman.
Yes, but he also did the research of the backstories. He did what he needed to, so that way he could play the best character possible.
You know another person who I feel studied well for their character, surprisingly, and a lot of people forget that it's DC, is Sandman.
Yes.
I feel like he did really well. I feel like that was very good.
The storyline. I like the whole casting of Sandman.
Another show.
another show. And wasn't that a Netflix show?
It was a Netflix show. So they even had more like ability to kind of do what they wanted with it.
That's also DC paired with Netflix. Obviously, you saw that it did really well together.
Take our advice. Do what we say.
Yes, do it.
do it.
But it's for real though. I mean, think about it. I mean, DC can't do much on their own, but then you bring in another big backer like Netflix, and you get a total banger, which just got approved for season 2, by the by. So we're excited about Sandman 2.
Yeah, that comes out next year, I believe.
Yeah, yes, it does.
So it's hard because you have Marvel, who has like these 10 things coming out, shows and movies. Hopefully all of them do well. Some people are banking on others and more, but then you have DC, who's like, yeah, we got Superman. We're like, yes, but you have so many other characters in that universe that you can play with. And they tried Flash. They tried doing Aquaman. They tried doing Wonder Woman. They casted really well.
Wonder Woman was amazing. Wonder
Woman 2,
all of them
stayed sane was,
that was a different story. But Gal Gadot,
but she was a great Wonder Woman.
Yes, fantastic. Yes. I absolutely agree. But I mean, like the Titans, they have so many potentials with the Titans, and not even just as teens.
But they have the characters to bring in with Batman.
Exactly.
You have a different storyline you can do. You have a different sides thing you can do. It's so hard because then you have Joker. You had the first Joker that did so well, and then Joker 2, and you're just like, why? And then I get it. People are like, he's not the real Joker. But either way, what happened?
What happened to Joker 2? Joaquin Phoenix played a great Joker in my opinion. However, he wasn't the Joker at the ending, which is kind of like a weird thing. And they also turned it into a music.
The whole singing thing.
Which, I love it. I love Lady Gaga. Think she's gorgeous. She's a beautiful human. But why are we bringing this into DC?
Yeah, it made it so much harder because that's the thing. You haven't had a Joker that you wanted since Heath Ledger. That whole unfortunate debacle, unfortunate thing. But there's expectations that are set, and it's just hard when you're a fan and you just keep getting let down.
We are gonna skip over Suicide Squad and Joker, right? Because we both agree.
Was that actually a thing?
Yeah.
The only thing I loved out of it was Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn was amazing.
I loved Harley Quinn, and then they tried doing her movie,
Margot
and they
Robbie.
turned it into a giant mess fest. Although Birds of Prey wasn't terrible, but
Birds of Prey wasn't bad.
But it wasn't. I think that I think Margot wanted to do more, and they said no.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate because she did play.
Any role she's taken on, she's played fantastic.
She dives into it and just molds herself
into
that character.
The fact that she can go from Wolf of Wall Street, that character, to to Harley Quinn in general, and then go to Barbie. I love Barbie, and it's so funny because I loved Barbies growing up. I again was that girl who did sports and liked that stuff, but it's not even the aspect of the girliness of Barbie, just how well they did it with her as just and Ken, it was just very well done, and I know people have mixed reviews over Barbenheimer, but
Barbenheimer.
Of a movie of our childhood, it wasn't just cheesy, they just did well with it, and the fact that Will Ferrell was I'm totally in was even better.
Just a little heads up, Barbenheimer is Oppenheimer and Barbie mixed together because they came out on the same weekend.
I guess I should probably
So that's why that's called Barbenheimer.
Well, then you have Wicked coming out the same weekend as Moana 2.
So what are we calling that?
Moaned.
Yes. Yes, we are. Which I'm both excited for both of those coming out. I mean, Wicked coming out, to hear another story and to see what kind of version they're going to go with Wicked is very, very intriguing.
Well, it's also funny with how box offices,
she'll get it eventually.
No, I will. Do it. With releases, Wicked and Moana 2 coming out the same weekend. That's back to when we talked about Big Hero 6 and Frozen coming out, and those came out at 2 separate times of the year.
That's very worrisome for how they're gonna do.
Well, and then next year you have July, who's gonna be packed with Lilo and Stitch is possibly in July. Then you have Superman, and then you have Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have Fantastic Four coming out again.
It's so much anxiety. I can't take it. How do these people do it?
I don't know. I don't know how they look at the weekend and they're like
that's the one.
Because wasn't Taylor Swift going to be releasing something and 2 other artists changed the date of their release?
No, it's not even that she was releasing. It was rumored that she was releasing, and they changed their dates.
See, they saw the signs.
Yeah,
I saw the sign. Opened up my eyes.
They didn't open up their eyes because they were panicked over a rumor. That's how much she rules the world.
That's what I'm talking about, though. That's what
Swiftie,
I'm saying. If they can do it and she can see, what is happening to the movie world? Why aren't they seeing like 2 banger movies? Why are we going to release them at the same time?
Well, because it makes it hard, because then you want to see both movies do well, but obviously one is most likely going to do better than the other.
And unfortunately, as much as Wicked's like really big, Moana 2 is going to be...
How's the following?
I think Moana 2 is going to...
Ooh, let's bet now.
Ooh, let's take a bet. Okay, so I think Moana 2 is going to take over at least opening weekend. What do you think?
Ooh, I think Wicked will. I think Wicked is going to be I think people are going to like Moana. I definitely think it'll be close. Watch me there. This be right. I think it'll be close. But I think Wicked has enough of the weight between the casting, the fact that they're singing live in the movie the whole time.
Of course.
I think that it has enough of a following that it's the new thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Moana will, of course, generate the general public of everyone being excited for Moana 2.
Of course.
But I do think my vote is Wicked.
Yeah. So which one are we going to see first? Because we're going to see both of them on opening weekend, so which one do you want to see first?
Don't put me in that position.
I want to know.
I don't want to know.
I want to know.
I like Disney more.
Yeah.
So I would probably see Moana first.
So we're going to see Moana on Thursday, and then we're going to see...
we're going to see it.
And then, well, I'm waiting for her, because as soon as she says which one she wants to do, I go and buy tickets, and then she's forced to go with me.
Pretty much, we did that with Venom.
Yes.
You're Venom. Big sis, little sis.
And I'm excited to see that storyline. I'm excited to see the plot and which way they go.
You know what part I'm so excited for, more than anything, is Fat Pua.
Oh my God, he's gotten so big. The only complaint I have, and I have been saying this since the very first trailer, and I know you're just gonna slap your face because you're like, oh my God, this is so redundant. Okay, Maui, I have a bone to pick with you. When you have Pua and Hey in your hands, you cannot say eggs and bacon. You wanna know why? Hey, a boy. Hey is a boy.
Has that been supported though?
He has the thingies. That's a boy.
He looks weird to begin with. Does
He's
he
a boy.
actually look like a real chicken?
Hey is a boy.
Watching everybody like, it's a girl, and then they're like, this many reasons.
If I find out Hey is a girl, all right.
I do think in Moana 1, she just goes, he's a special one. I think she does say he.
And he has the thingies. He has the danglies. If the danglies are there, he's a boy. Well, I think
in
girls
Moana's
too,
world,
but
what if the boys lay the
he has
eggs?
the dings.
Did you think about that one?
No.
You just took yourself out of the microphone.
All right, well, talking about what other things are coming out soon. This week actually has some bangers coming out. We have the 2 new sets coming out. We have one that's Pokemon Surging Sparks.
I thought you were on movies. I was like, what movie are we missing? Cards.
I don't think we're going to be
about
using
cards.
We're talking about cards. I'm sorry, everyone. Pokemon Surging Sparks is coming out right now this week, and we're excited to get our hands on a couple packs to see if we can't get that golden Pikachu. But other than that, we have another One Piece set coming out. It's the PRB-01, which is a reprint set of the base sets of OP01 through OP06.
I feel like there's just a wee.
Ice. It is, but it's really cool. I mean, you have chances for God packs out the Yin Yang with this set, and it's really cool cards. I mean, you really want the mangas. That's what you want out of the One Piece. Magic the Gathering has Magic the Gathering has their secret layer, which is the Marvel set,
one we talked about.
which is what we talked about. So if you can get your hands on that, let us know how you did. Let us know if you had any troubles and how many packs you were actually able to get. Because so far,
our nerds did not look up very well.
no. So we'll see what kind of happens. Another thing that just released as well, which is something that's kind of a hidden gem in my opinion. Last week, Pokemon Pocket, the digital trading card game, was released, and that is something super cool. It's digital cards, so nothing tangible and nothing in your hands, but you can pull some really cool arts in these sets. You have 3 different packs that give you 3 different versions of cards. You have the Mewtwo, Charizard, and Pikachu sets that you have availability to open up, and you get those 3 or 4 gold stars. You get some really, really cool visual effects from those cards.
Well, like you showed me, when you open the pack or when you open the card, it lets you go into the card.
It
which
zooms
is
in and looks throughout the whole card. That was with the Mewtwo card that I actually pulled with a pincer as well. So it was kind of a really nice pack.
Casually sitting at the table, she starts screaming, thinking someone's dying, and it's a Mewtwo. I was like, I get it, but where's the fire? I thought someone was actually being murdered.
It's the cool card out of the set.
I've never seen you sprint so fast in your life.
Okay, listen. We'll sprint for Pokemon cards.
I am not fast.
We'll sprint for pools. Let's put it that way. Excited for this One Piece set. Really looking forward to get my hands on those. Other than that, what other things we have coming up?
Honestly, it's just seeing what other else things will be released. I struggled really hard on that one.
You really did.
No, I'm curious when we're actually going to get the full roundabout of Comic-Con. I'm very curious to see if we will get the announcements for that. I do think that it's going to be... I'm curious if the people who got tickets are going to keep their tickets.
Ooh, or if they're going to sell them.
Oh, no, not so much sell them. I'm wondering if what their final decision of people who already bought their tickets from that sale, or if they're going to be like, all right, we're just going to scratch it and do new.
So from what I've heard, they've gotten to keep their tickets.
That's good.
So I'm very surprised that they were, but if you were able to go through and you have that perfect purchase confirmation, you got those tickets. But if you went through and you didn't get that confirmation, you did not get those tickets.
I would have been so mad if I would have been on the checkout screen and got that circle of death and just be like, I got them. And then they're like, oh, sorry, everything crashed. And you're just like, oh, okay. What really annoyed me on that one is it took them so long to be like, hey, site's having issues. We're trying to fix it. Even in the queue, they didn't really announce anything that they were having the major issues. And honestly, I feel like with the pre-queue, if they had that many issues to begin with, they should have just canceled sales in general. Because now people who actually had the chance and got in the queue now have to fight because they didn't actually get the thing.
Yes,
and that's what
which we're going to be back in that queue. Although, looking back and kind of, like I said, going through those forums, I did see that a lot of the, when this happened in previous years, that the open registration came back around Thanksgiving. So hopefully we'll have information by the end of this week, maybe next week. Hopefully by the next week's podcast, we'll have a little bit more information for you and see if we can't help you guys secure your tickets to San Diego Comic-Con.
Which is going to make it even more crazy with the holiday season coming up and all of that. It's immediate nonsense of
Well, there's so many people that took off that Saturday just to be able to try to get tickets. You saw them in all the forums. Everybody was so pissed.
I will never forget during the Taylor Swift. My friend who's a veterinarian, she took off the entire day. She switched days with the owner of the clinic to make sure she could get Taylor Swift tickets.
Please let me have them. I want them.
Even doctors do it.
Even doctors, even important people, not like us who are in our office right now.
Yes, but I am curious to see what the key picks at Comic-Con cosplays will be, because technically last year, New York Comic-Con just passed, and the huge thing was Deadpool and Wolverine, of course. But
and last year's was Spider-Man.
Yeah, last year's was Spider-Man. I'm curious, if this year's heavily going to be focused on Fantastic Four as much
I'm
as
pretty
we think
positive.
It will be.
Well, I mean, San Diego was also a lot of X-Men '97.
Yeah, that's true. That's an underrated one.
X-Men,
people forget to think.
Oh yeah, I mean, Rogues, you do your thing because you can pull it off.
Rogue's my favorite character. Honestly, she's been one of my favorite. I think when I first started X-Men, I think her and Kitty Pryde were two of my favorites because I liked.
But what version do you like of Rogue? Do you like her when she's in school, or do you like her after she gets her full effective powers? Because remember, she didn't get her full effective powers until she sucked some of the life force from Captain Marvel.
My favorite is her in the Brotherhood.
Oh goodness. Oh.
I like that she works both sides. I do think her at her full power is my favorite, of course, but I think my favorite transition of her is in the Brotherhood.
Oh my goodness.
When she gets sucked in.
Well, I mean, we're gonna
come to the darkness. Okay.
Can't wait for next season. Hopefully we find out about the Four Horsemen. Hopefully we get Gambit back. Gambit back would be amazing. Love him.
I played the cards. Who's your voice coach? The Minions?
Do you think that Marvel's gonna come back out and say that we're gonna actually do a Channing Tatum Gambit?
I think he might cry.
Do you think they would do a show, or do you think that they would do a movie with him?
Channing Tatum is movie material. I think they could do more with it. Of how they've done so well with the shows in the side characters, I think he would do well as a show.
How do you feel about a live action, some version of the X-Men? If they would do a live action '97?
Oh, I was like, he is alive. He is alive.
I know, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
He is a real human being.
Channing Tatum is alive. What are you talking about?
If they go back to the original X-Men and the whole story, I will be the most happy person because I think that is my favorite storyline of the X-Men. I like the original old school comics. I like the old school shows. I liked who we got as the casting of like the modern day X-Men. I like the first class cast. I think they did well with that, but nothing beats the original cartoon Saturday morning back in the 90s.
I know. That's why I was so
X-Men.
glad when Disney brought it back.
Yeah.
Made me so happy being able to wake up and go, you know what, I'm feeling like a childhood today. Go log on to Disney Plus and be able to watch it.
You know what might be in our favor? Marvel Zombies. It might answer our question on Zombie Spider-Man.
Might answer our question on Marvel's.
I asked a few of my friends that question this weekend. And
what were their thoughts? Have we asked our question?
Yes, we did. We did last time. But what was so bad is I've asked my family members who are even more comic nerds than we are, and they gave me a straight up answer. There was no hesitation, no follow-up questions.
There was like logical sense
to it. I asked my friends who, some of them are nerds, others are just like, what? And I asked them, and they asked me so many questions. I was like, I just want to know. I was like, okay, if you got bit by a radioactive spider, would you become zombie Spider-Man? And they're like, they were like, did the spider get bit? I'm like,
how would the spider get bit?
I was like, it's just a radioactive zombie. Well, how did the spider become a zombie? And I was like, I don't know the pre-qualifications. I just know it's a radioactive zombie spider. And
they're more interested in knowing how the spider became, one, radioactive, and two, how it became a zombie.
I felt like it was an interrogation. I was like in a corner of a booth at a pizza place, and I was just like, It makes me think of King Julian. I don't know, Maurice. How does a chicken supposed to run without a head? I don't know. Why am I supposed to run without feet? I felt like that.
I don't know.
I felt like a headless chicken, a footless chicken, my lord. How's a chicken supposed to run with no head? I don't know. How's it supposed to have no feet? That was me. I was like crying, laughing.
I have given her caffeine today, but she has yet to drink it, so this is all natural.
It was bad. And this was after like a whole day of just like in the sun. I was exhausted. I was there out of being a great friend for a birthday.
Oh, doing non-nerdy things, being
social.
Florida-Georgia game, which Florida got whooped.
Hey, we tried. We did almost win.
Yeah, until halftime came, and then it just...
We had two of our players get carted out on a disaster, and Georgia's number 2, and we're not even ranked. Give us the break on that one.
I know.
But
I gave you the benefit of the doubt for that one, although...
But I just asked a simple nerd question, and I never thought that I would get more out nerd over a radioactive zombie spider and how it became a radioactive zombie spider. I was like, I don't know its life. His name's Herman. He doesn't know how it happened. He's just a zombie who happens to be radioactive in spider form. He's gonna bite you. What do you become? And they're like, well, do you have full cognitive function when you're a spider? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't even know if he's gonna have limbs. I
don't even know if he has limbs.
I didn't know what else to do. I was just trying to lighten the mood by asking like a fun nerd question, and it completely backfired. And when I asked the people that I felt safe around, they were like, yeah, I'd become a radioactive spider, or I'd become a zombie Spider-Man. I'm like, thank you. And I was wrong.
This is from lawyers and doctors and
anything
PAs that you... Yes, but that's who we were around, and they were all sports people. So that's what happens when you put nerds in front of sports people.
Well,
we ask questions to see what they think, and they go straight logic.
I was like, this is why you're a lawyer, because you were asking all the right questions, and I just want to know if you get bit, and you go... Instead. And the sad thing is...
hold on, I have a question. So do you like turn into a zombie before you get spider powers, or do you get your powers... Because
I don't know, Maurice, I'm not the chicken!
But no, I'm seriously curious. Like, so, because you think about how Spider-Man, it took some time. It didn't take super long time for that venom to get through and course through his body and for the radioactive powers to, like, possess him, I guess you can say. But zombies, I feel like, take so much less time. So, like, would it be, like, fighting each other as they were trying to go? Would you have to become a Spider-Man before he turned into a zombie for it to actually work? See, I have questions.
Can you use your web shooter powers to put your body parts back together? That's my question.
You look like Sally, but it was spider webs.
This arm's not working fully.
Does it come out of anywhere else?
Oh, God. Can it, like, come out of their eyeballs, since their eyeballs technically, like, already fell out?
That also is a thing. Like, we only know one spider who, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who had it come out of his skin, whereas everybody else had web casters.
Yes.
So...
Marvel Zombies, we have questions. Please answer them for the sake of my brain.
Please. Because you can see how much I just keep piling on in there.
Every single person but Spider-Man.
This is because you hate Craven. It's not that we hate Craven, we just hate Sony. There's a difference.
Despise, hate's a strong word.
Hate's a strong word. We don't hate
them!
Alright, Venom. Speaking of Venom, have you seen, so going back on those costumes, because, Halloween did just pass. So costumes, saw a really cool one. Little girl was dressed up and she had a Venom arm.
Just a Venom arm?
She was like, well, have you seen him? Like, it's like it
yes,
looks like she had her
was
hands.
she in normal clothes?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then she had like another arm like popped out and she had a Venom. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
I would forget and like take myself out with it, turn straight into the arm. Why did you get a bruise?
Well, no,
I don't know.
her hand was in it, and then like the
Oh,
sleeve
so she was
so it looked like her sleeve was in her pockets, and then
Details help.
her arm. Well, you can see my arm doing the thing,
I
and
know
you
you're
are not focusing.
projecting to be an arm.
Jesus, I have my horse blinders on. I can only see straight.
As you turn and look at With that nonsense going in, I think that brings us to the end of our time.
Well, Maniacs, thank you so much for joining our podcast this week. We hope to see you next week.
And we hope you enjoyed the mayhem. Because we are Venom.
Oh, we are Manic Mayhem. We appreciate you for being here.
I'm sorry.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!